you've ever tried to photograph small birds like warblers, and your camera keeps focusing on the branches instead of the bird, well, you're not alone. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact settings I use on the OM-1 Mark II to fix that, and more importantly, the things that actually make a big difference out in the field. Now, small songbirds are always a struggle to photograph. They're, number one, tiny, they're moving around constantly, they often move really quickly, and they're usually in habitats where there's branches and vegetation everywhere. All of these things result in your autofocus getting tripped up, missing focus, and allowing you to miss the shot. Now, there are two biggest mistakes that I always see in my guided sessions with clients. I'm going to hit on those first, and then we're going to go into specifics of my settings that I use in camera. The first biggest mistake I see is people use too large of an autofocus box size or target area mode in their camera. This results in the camera not knowing what to focus on, and it often results in getting distracted on the vegetation and branches in the frame. The second biggest mistake is that people get too reliant on using subject detection and tracking to photograph these small birds. This often leads to misfocused opportunities where otherwise you would have been able to get good, sharp images. These cameras have powerful autofocus systems, but you still need to steer them in the right direction to be able to get the best results every single time and allow you to get consistent results in the field. So let's get into autofocus settings. So first thing is focus mode. I'm using continuous autofocus, so CAF mode. This allows the camera to continuously focus as these birds are changing positions. Now, like I said, these birds are small, they're constantly moving, especially when they're just arriving and migrating. They're constantly searching for food, so they're moving about really quickly in the frame. Using continuous autofocus allows my camera to constantly adjust focus so that I can get sharp photos even as these birds are moving. If you're using SAF mode, then you're going to end up with a lot of out of focus images because even though the bird is still on the perch on 1 second, they could very easily move very quickly, and your camera is going to be locked on that initial perch rather than where they are now. Now let's correct the issue of using the wrong focus area, target area box size for these subjects. Now, the OM-1 Mark II allows you to customize a lot of the target areas in your camera. Personally, I use the C1 through the C4 area modes because I'm able to customize the different autofocus box sizes to suit the subjects that I'm using, and all of those modes also allow tracking. So it's really the best of both worlds, and I can customize them based on the subjects that I'm photographing. A simple thing to remember is if you're photographing a really small subject, such as small songbirds, you're going to want to use a small target area, focus area box, because that's going to allow you to pinpoint focus on that subject and allows you to cut through a lot of the distractions in the frame. As your subject becomes larger in the frame or you start photographing larger animals, you can then use a larger target area box size, autofocus box size, because that subject is naturally larger in the frame. Your camera will more easily identify the subject and you can focus on it more readily. Now I know what you're thinking, well, if I use such a small autofocus box size, well then I'm not going to be able to keep that autofocus box over the subject if they're moving so quickly, so I'm going to end up missing focus as well. And that is true. It takes some practice, but a lot of times it results in a lot more consistent and improved results with some practice, because if you're using too large of an autofocus box size, your camera will likely miss focus more often because it's going to be too distracted with photographing the branches or the leaves in the frame. This is especially true when you're photographing warblers, which hang out in this young forest habitat. There's constantly young shrubs and brushes everywhere, which really distract your camera, even though the autofocus system in the OM-1 Mark II is so good. Now, as your subject, like I said, becomes larger in frame or the scene becomes less distracting, say if you're photographing a bird that's out on an exposed perch, the background's nice and far away, well then you can use a larger autofocus box size because there's less things for your camera to be distracted in the frame. This is a good example with these tree swallows here, where they're out on a nice exposed perch. There wasn't much distracting around them. I could use a larger autofocus box size and still get good results because the camera was able to easily pick up the subject and lock and track them. Another thing to remember is as movement increases, so if subjects become more erratic in the frame, say if you're photographing birds in flight, I will commonly use the all area mode in the OM-1 Mark II because the camera does and oftentimes a better job of picking up the subject compared to me trying to track the subject myself. So as a movement becomes more erratic, I tend to use a larger autofocus box size especially when the scene is nice and open and there's not much distracting elements. Otherwise, even if there's a lot of movement like these warblers and vegetation, I will still stick to a small autofocus box size because that allows me to pinpoint focus, shoot through the vegetation, and really kind of limit where the camera is looking to try to identify the subject. Now, the subject detection and tracking capabilities of the OM-1 Mark II are phenomenal. They're some of the best I've used, but there are still times when it gets tripped up, and knowing when to flip it off and turn it back on will really allow you to be more consistent and get better results out in the field. So here's just some simple frameworks that I've kind of thought up to help you determine if you should be using tracking or if maybe you should turn it off to get the best results in the field. So when can you definitely use tracking and subject detection? Number one, if you have a nice clean background. If you have a nice clean background, the camera does a phenomenal job picking up the subject, tracking it, and locking onto the subject. If the subject is isolated, that's another great example of where the camera really does a quick job identifying the subject, locking and tracking onto it, similar to having a clean and distraction-free scene. And lastly, the camera does a fantastic job locking onto your subjects when they are naturally larger in frame. So if you can get closer to your subjects, the camera is going to have a lot easier time picking up and focusing on that subject, even if there are a lot of distracting elements in the frame, such as leaves and vegetation and branches and sticks. And also, I tend to use tracking pretty much when I start photographing a subject. Now, if the camera is doing a really good job locking on and recognizing the subject, which it often does, even when you're photographing through branches and sticks, I will keep it on. The time I start to turn it off is when I start to notice that, hey, the camera's starting to get distracted, that it's starting to pick up leaves or branches, maybe I'm shooting through a lot of vegetation or have a really busy foreground. That's when the camera can get tripped up. And when I start to recognize that the camera's, recognizing the leaves as possibly a subject, or it's starting to not focus on the subject where I want it, that's when I will toggle subject detection off and start to use just continuous autofocus with my autofocus box to lock on to the subject. Now, this is an example of a larger target area mode resulting in the camera locking onto the vegetation rather than the bird. By reducing the target area and focus box size, I was able to cut through the vegetation and really pinpoint where the camera was searching for the subject. And then this is a good example of how turning off subject detection really helps. There's a lot of distractions here. The camera's having a hard time cutting through and recognizing the bird. By turning off subject detection, which I have customizable to the AEL button, I can quickly compensate and gain focus on the bird more accurately when I'm recognizing that subject detection just isn't working properly. And then lastly, one time I really turn off subject detection pretty constantly is if I'm photographing a subject that blends in really well to the environment. So think of a subject that's very well camouflaged. An easy example is shorebirds down along the beach. They blend in really well with the sand and the pebbles and the rocks on the beach. And a lot of times it's hard for the camera to recognize that that's actually a subject and not just another rock in the frame. That's an example where I will turn off subject detection and just use my autofocus box to lock on and track onto the subject. Now, just some other quick settings you can adjust out in the field. Number one that I adjust is autofocus sensitivity. I'm constantly typically shooting in the +1 or +2 sensitivity settings because this just allows your camera to be a little bit more sensitive to movement and helps it track onto the subject quicker and be more responsive out in the field. If you're noticing that your autofocus is lagging behind a little bit, consider adjusting your sensitivity levels to help it kind of adjust quicker and react quicker in the field. Next thing is I'm using release priority mode for my shutter. This allows me to take photos whenever I press the shutter, even when the camera can't quite recognize that the subject is in focus, especially when you're shooting through a lot of brush where the focus is obscured. I can still take the photos and the camera's not going to limit me there. The last quick setting to think about in the field to possibly adjust on your camera is linked to how your camera operates when using subject detection. You can link tracking to either your target area mode or you can link it to your subject. Now I have it set so that it is in the all position. Basically this means that when your subject is identified, your camera identifies your subject and begins tracking on it, you don't have to keep your autofocus, your target area box, over that subject. It will continuously track your subject as long as it stays in the frame. This really allows you to recompose quickly as soon as your subject is locked on and the camera starts tracking. The other setting you can have is if you have it linked to your target area mode. Basically means that you're going to need to keep your autofocus box close to your subject to continuously track on it. I've been more frequent in using the all area mode because, like I said, the tracking capabilities of this camera are so advanced that it often does a much better job and allows me to quickly recompose out in the field. Now, just close up here on just some more practical tips to help you photograph small birds out in the field. Number one, don't rush the shot. Have some patience. These birds move constantly. They're moving through the habitat pretty quickly. If you slow down, position yourself, just stay in one location, a lot of times these birds will actually move pretty close to you when they become comfortable with your presence. And a lot of times, these birds will actually move to an exposed perch on their own, so you don't actually need to move yourself. Here's a good example of where I was photographing in a hedgerow, and this yellow-rumped warbler came right out onto this beautiful exposed perch and actually took a small little nap. It was a really nice moment and just a good example of how these birds kind of come out on exposed perches when they feel safe. Another practical tip is watch for movement patterns. If you can position yourself ahead of where these birds are moving, you're going to have a lot better chance of getting close to them and getting better opportunities in photographing them. If you're constantly chasing after them and behind them, you're not going to get very good results. If you can observe where they're going, position yourself ahead of them, they're going to come towards you naturally and allow for some good opportunities. Getting distracted by a blue-gray gnatcatcher above me. And then another quick tip, as you're positioning yourself, think about the backgrounds. If you can position yourself where there are some nice perches, where the background is nice and clean, that's going to help you and help the camera gain focus a lot quicker and more accurately when those birds move onto those perches. So if you can plan ahead and kind of plan your shots out a little bit, it really does help. Another quick tip is, if you're using back button autofocus, which I am and I would recommend, don't rely on pressing and holding the AF on button constantly. Instead, get focus close, especially when your subjects are behind some brush. Get focus so you can actually see the subject in your frame, but it doesn't need to be perfect. And then as the subject moves out in the open and allows you to get a better photo, that's when you press and engage the AF on button and lock on and begin tracking. A lot of times if you just constantly press the AF on button, even when the subject is behind brush, your camera and your lens is going to be trying to be searching focus to try to gain focus on that subject. And a lot of times you're going to end up focusing either on the foreground or the background. And when that bird comes out on the exposed perch, you're not going to be able to get focus quick enough because your focus is going to be all the way on the background or foreground. If you instead wait, be patient again, just have focus close enough so you can see the bird in your frame. When they come out on the exposed perch, press and engage the AF on button and then take your photos. You're going to have a lot better success rate rather than just pressing and holding the AF on button. And lastly, the last tip I have is if you're using a lens that has the memory reset button, like the 50 to 200 millimeter lens or the 150 to 400 millimeter lens, you're able to have a memory recall for your autofocus distance. You're also able to set this in camera, but I tend to just do it on the lenses. And this really allows you to focus on a specific distance away from you so that when those birds arrive in that specific distance, you're going to be able to just press that button and you're able to get focus quickly at that distance. This really helps in instances where your camera, back focuses or focuses on the foreground and you don't know where you're focused. If you just press that button, you're able to reset back to that focus distance and begin shooting again much quicker than if you're just trying to rack focus otherwise. Small birds are one of the hardest subjects to photograph, but once you understand how your autofocus system works, you're able to get a lot more consistent results out in the field, and you're able to have a much more enjoyable experience trying to photograph them. I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any tips or comments about the settings you use for your OM-1 Mark II, or even no matter what system you're using, let us know in the comments down below. That way we can all kind of learn together and have better success in photographing these birds. And also I just wanted to mention quickly that there is a photo contest going on right now. It is the Birds with OM System photo contest. It is free to enter. It closes the 26th of May. You can use any camera system to enter. You can submit your best bird photo, and there are some fantastic prizes. There's a link down below in the description if you're interested in entering or checking out more of the details. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.